All right. So 6.2. Okay, I'm recording. 6.2, which ones do we need? Wait, let's start. Do we need 19? Oh, super easy. 31 was the one recently, right? Okay, this one. Okay. Who else needs it? Okay, perfect. All right, so we need to make sure we're paying attention, because if you're talking while I'm talking and you're not doing that, I'm going to stop going over questions, or I'm going to send you out. If these seats do not work, I can fix them. Please don't make me. I don't have time. All right, y equals ce to the kt. It asks you about a half-life. So I thought I went over this a little bit the other day. I did with you, but I thought I did it in class as well. Okay. Okay. So anytime we do a half-life, we're going to do half of the original one amount. Does everybody understand that? So every 1 unit is going to be that e to the k, and it said a half-life took 1599 years. Like super shaking right now, so it's really hard to write. So I don't know why. Like so just bear with me with my writing. If it looks bad, just ask me what it says. All right, so that one doesn't matter. How do I solve this? LN both sides. So LN 0.5. I'm gonna leave it like that. Could be good.
I don't know what my homework is.
Did you turn it in?
No, I know I didn't.
Equals 1599K. We're going to divide by 1599. And we get that K is negative 0.0004335. Oh, I cannot write. Then it gave you that it would be 0.1 at the end of 10,000 years. Everybody good with that? That's the information it gave you. So we're going to plug it in. It would be 0.1. Our C is what we don't know. That's what we're looking for. What was the original amount? E, we found our K was 0.0004335. And then at the end of 10,000 years. So how would I solve this? Find it.
Got it. Digging around spot 7 times. Digging around.
I know.
Wow. I looked there like.
What do we do?
Divided by
Divided by that E, blah, 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 blah. And you get that C equals 7.6325. Very good. So if they don't give you an initial, but they talk about half-life, then that's what you're gonna do. Alessandra, are you okay today? You sleepy? Yeah, no, what, girl, come on. Everybody good? I've been single parenting for 2 nights, so I feel you, girl. I'm ready to sleep in a little bit. Getting up earlier, it's not fun. All right, 43, is everybody okay? Oh, it's pretty cut and dry. 53. Everybody good with that? That was it, right? 6.2?
Yeah.
All right, 6.3. Everybody okay with number 1? Number 2. I know a lot of you asked me how they got the 15 and the 2. So just to go over that real fast, in case anybody's just too scared to ask, you guys did it correctly if you got this, which you should have. You guys were good with that. How did they get the 15 and the 2x to the third? They multiplied these. So first they multiplied it by 2, which would cancel this out. And it would give you negative 2x to the third over 3. And you don't have to do anything to the C, because if I multiply it by 2, it's still going to be a constant. So you can put 2C if you want to. It's pointless. So you just keep writing C. And then they multiplied by 3 to get rid of the fractions. So 15y squared equals negative 2x cubed, because that'll cancel your 3 out, plus C, and then move the 2 over. So a bunch of you had a question about that yesterday. You were doing it correctly. This was good. They just got it out of fraction form. Okay. Number 5. We good? 7. Everybody okay? 9? Let me see. You got it? You need it? Okay. All right. You had y prime equals 4 sine x. And like I told you, I don't like to see that y prime just for me. So I change it into dy over dx. I don't know, it just looks easier to me when you're trying to separate variables. So then I'm just going to multiply my dx over. So we have y dy equals 4 sine x dx. And now you can integrate. Once you get your x's and your y's together, you can integrate. When I integrate y dy, what do I get? When I integrate 4 sine dx, sine x dx, what do I get? Yeah, so we pull that 4 out, and then the integration of sine is negative cosine. So it'll be negative 4 cosine x plus c. And then they just get rid of the 2. So how do they get rid of the 2? Multiply it. And that's it. If you move the 8 over and just get it equal to c, that's fine. Again, if you're doing your homework for me, I don't care if it doesn't match the book. If you're getting it, if you're getting the right equation, but it's not in the same order, that's fine. Don't stress out. That means you're doing it right. Everybody good? All right. 17.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 17 is y times x plus 1. Sorry, I'll just move that if y'all can't see it, I'll move it back over. Just give me a second. Negative 2 equals 1. So I went ahead and got y prime by itself by subtracting this over. Is everybody okay with that part? All right. Again, I don't like looking at it as y prime. So I do dy over dx equals negative y x plus 1. I need to get the y on one side and the x is on the other. So how do I do that? So divide by the negative y to get it next to the dy. And then multiply by the dx. If you kept the negative with the x plus 1, it'll all turn out the same way. So don't stress about where the negative happens. I just like it with the y over here. So then what do I have when I integrate? Negative ln. It's okay.
I have a negative.
It's okay. And we get? Can we integrate x? Remember, you got to do them separate. X squared over 2 plus let's see. Our initial condition. I would not try to get this equal to y just because I know I'm going to be plugging into it. So I might as well just plug in and solve. Does everybody understand that? So if you try to do all the E and stuff like that, there's no point because it's not looking for this yet. And because we're finding an answer in the end, like I said, we'll do all that in a minute. It'll be easier to have the C in there. All right. So what does this tell me? My point is what? Negative 2, 1. Remember, this is the same thing as y of x. So if you're not sure how to read that, it's still normal. Okay, still normal xy. So we have negative ln absolute value. What's our y coordinate? 1 equals what's our x? Make sure you put that in parentheses over 2 plus negative 2 plus c. ln1 is 0, the negative doesn't matter. So we get 0 equals. -2 squared is 4 divided by 2 is 2 plus -2, sorry, plus c. What is 2 plus -2? So we get 0 equals c. So then we have negative ln absolute value of y equals x squared over 2 plus x. We don't have to put the plus c because it is 0. How do we get this equal to y? Before that? Divide by the -1. I had a sneeze, sorry. Negative x squared over 2 minus x. And then we e both sides. We get y equals e to the negative x squared over 2 minus x. We're going to take out that negative. So at this point, if you've got this, this is the correct answer. This is where I said they manipulate it. So don't stress out. If you got to this part, this is correct. Okay. Does everybody understand that? This is correct. So then they take out the negative, which leaves you with x over 2. I'm sorry, x squared over 2 plus x. And then they rewrite it so that we have common denominators. So what would your common denominator be? Say it again. So we have negative x squared over 2 plus 2x over 2. And then they just change it to x squared plus 2x over 2 like that. That's an e, sorry. So I'm good right here. It is the correct answer. I'm worried that the more work that you do, the more mistakes that you'll make. Does everybody understand? But I want you to see it, how the book answer is and why it looks like that. Pretty sure, unless it's multiple choice, your AP exam will answer, they'll be okay with this answer. It is the right answer. Does everybody understand that? Unless they say simplify it as much as possible, you want to do that. Typically, if it's free response, you're going to be doing more to it. Does everybody understand? All right. You got what? How'd you get that? Okay, before you turn it in, let me look at it and I can answer that question. Did other people get that? Is it because you didn't put the negative? It's because you left the negative with the x plus 1? Did y'all all do that? Then that might be what it is. So that's okay. Don't stress out about it. As long as it's working, we're okay. So don't stress out. But I do still want to see it. No, because no, that's fine. That's what I said. So the negative could either go with the LN or it could go to the other side. Like right here in the very beginning, this negative, like if you just divided a positive y and left the negative here, then it could be something different. That's why I want to see your work and see what it is. Before I say, yes, it's okay. Like if all of you are doing it, then I guess it obviously works. You see what I'm saying? Like it didn't bother it at all. All right, 23. So 23 was dp minus kp dt equals 0. Remember, your dp and your dt are what your ratio is. They just set it up this time different. So what I'm talking about is this is what your y prime would be in this case. Does everybody understand that? All right, so we got to get our p's on one side and our constants and t's on the other side. So we're going to add that kp dt over. And then we want to get the p on the other side. So we're going to divide by p. So we get 1 over p dp equals k dt. Now we can integrate. What's your integration of 1 over p? And your integration of k. And what else do I write? Okay. And then what do? P it, just like always. What does that change it into? P equals. Good. Everybody good with that? Then it gave you P of 0 equals P sub O. So this is where it starts to look a little bit weird. You should have gotten everything up until here. This is the same thing it always is. It's your X and your Y. But again, we don't have a value for Y. We just have P sub O. So we're going to solve for that C. So what is P? Remember, in this case, P is going to be your Y. So we have P sub O equals CE to the K, and instead of X, this is going to be T, and this is going to be P, just so we have it in the same context. 0. What happens? So C is the same thing as P sub O. So when I write my equation, Y equals, or P equals, sorry, I'm going to change that C to P sub O, E to a KT. And that is my answer. That's all you do. So the P sub O made it look weird. It was actually a pretty easy question. Very good. All right. Make sure you turn these homeworks in. 6-2 and 6-2.
You should still integrate it separately.
Yeah, we only have one. All right. So, guys, listen. Number 1 is probably the worst question on the test, the worst question on the test. So remember, I'm going to show you how to do just the very first one to like plug in so that you know that I'm going to tell you A is not the answer. But the way that you would have to do this is in like literally find the first and second derivative of each answer until you get the one that cancels out and gives you 0. So we did this a couple times in our notes, but I'm going to show you just the first one. If I have time, we'll look and see about doing the other ones, but we'll just go with the first one for right now. So I can show you what it looks like when it doesn't work. So I'm going to start with, and I'm going to go way up here at the top. The equation is y equals negative 3, e to the negative 3x plus e to the x. What is y prime? It should be prime, not 1. So finding the derivative. Plus. And then what would your double prime be? What's the derivative of this one? Negative 3e to the negative 3x. Plus still e to the x. So then what you want to do is plug it into this equation. 7 times 9e to the negative 3x plus e to the x plus 7 times y is e to the negative 3x plus e to the x. And you want to see if that gives you 0. So you would want it to cancel out. You can already tell 7 times 9 is, that's okay, 63. And then 7e to the x plus 7e to the negative 3x plus 7e to the x. None of that cancels out, so you know that that is not your answer. You want to get things, especially in this one, because you have a 7 plus 7, where that second one or the first one becomes some kind of negatives. You need negatives and positives. So which ones alternate between negative and positive? Is it your e to the x's, or is it your cosines and sines, or what? When you take derivatives, they alternate between negative and positive. It's typically cosine and sine, right? So I'm going to go ahead and tell you that this answer is C. If we have time, we'll come back and do these derivatives, but I want to make sure that we get everything else. So you want to keep doing derivatives. Y'all, this problem would take us probably 15 minutes. I mean, it's just going to take, with me asking you the question. You doing it by yourself, probably not going to take you that long. Okay, so if we have time, we'll come back to it, but that's how you do it. Take the derivatives and then plug into your equation and make it cancel out to equal 0. All right, so this one did not equal 0. It was not our answer. Look at number 2. It says find the particular solution of the differential equation 3x plus 20y y prime equals 0 that satisfies the initial condition that y equals 5 when x equals 2, where 3x squared plus 20y squared equals c is the general solution. How do we go from the general solution to the particular solution? What's all you do? Plug in. What are we plugging in? That's it. So we're going to take 3 and we're going to plug in our x, 2 squared, plus 20, y squared, and we're going to solve for c. When you put all this in your calculator, you get 512. So which one is your answer? That's it. Don't try to do more work than you need to. All right, we're finding a general solution to this. What do we have to do? Okay. Before we integrate, what do we got to do? Just put the dx on the other side. Right, same thing we've been doing, so don't stress out about it. Same thing. This is 1 dy equals 5x cubed plus x dx. We just worked on one like this. If I integrate 1 dy, what do I get? Just y. So there's where your y equals comes from. 5x cubed. Remember, we integrate them separately. Plus. Plus. Which one is your answer? It is B. Any questions? Sorry, I didn't paper save. All right, what about this one? Use integration to find a general solution for the differential equation. Same exact thing. What do I have to do? So dy equals 13x cosine 8x squared. What do we do for this one? Oh, dx, sorry. Yeah, you have to use u. So anytime we're multiplying, remember, you guys go back to that u stuff. So the only thing I want to remind you of, we're going to integrate dy. 13 is a constant, so we're going to pull it out. And then maybe this makes it look a little bit better for you, okay? So which one is your function within the function? Okay, now what do I do? All right, du is 16x dx, but we want what? No, just x dx, right? So what do we do? Where can I take that 16? Everybody see how we have 13 over 16 now in your answers? Okay. So then we're actually integrating cosine u. So what's the integration of cosine? Sine. And what did we have for u? 8x squared. And then we put plus c. So again, if you're not seeing it, we integrated cosine u du. Since we had over 16, we had to pull that 16 out. The integration of cosine is sine. Our u was 8x squared. All right, which one's your answer? C. So, watch those. Make sure that you remember this. Guess what? Same thing on the next one. I'm going to do dy equals x. I'm going to change this to 4 minus x squared to the 1/2 dx. I'm going to integrate. How do I integrate it? How do I integrate it? Find your u. What is my u? Okay, what do I do now? Derivative. What's the derivative of 4 minus x squared? Negative 2x dx. What did we want? What do we have to do? So what does that mean I have in front? Negative 1/2. I'm integrating u to the 1/2. What is it going to be? Just do, I'm going to do u to begin with. Just start with u. We'll plug it back in a minute. U to the 3/2 over 3/2. How did you get that? Add 1. And then we have that plus c. I don't divide by fractions. So I'm going to multiply it by 2/3. And that just leaves me with u to the 3/2 plus c. What happens on this front? What happens on the front side right here? I'm not hearing what you're saying. I'm hearing you talk. Guys, when I multiply these two fractions, what happens? Which is? Okay, the 2's cancel out, back to basics. The 2's cancel out because there's one on top and one on the bottom, which gives you negative 1/3. U to the 3/2. What was our u? And then plus c. Look for that answer. Do you see it? Oh, why is it not a? Watch that. It has that extra x in there. So just be careful. Just be careful. Is everybody good? We're going to hold off on 6. This question, that's the one that I was doing when you guys first came in. I don't even like it. I don't like the answer key answer. The one that you have for Euler's method looks like the ones in the book where you had the chart on your test. So I'm going to show you one. If we don't get to it today, I'll show you right before the test so that you guys can see it. And that way it'll be fresh in your brain. Okay. So don't stress out if we don't get to it. Got it? So we're going to skip number 6. I do not like the way that it is worked out. All right, number 7, solve the differential equation, same thing that we've been doing. So what do you have to do? Okay. These two are together. Does everybody understand that? These two are going to be together. So if we multiply it by dx, we then have to get it on the other side. Like this. I'm going to go ahead and change it. Like this. The reason I'm going to pull out that negative is to make it a little bit easier for me. Remember, if it's backwards, like if it would have been 8 minus y on this one, you want to make sure that you do the u, or to pull out the negative. This one, I went ahead and pulled out the negative. So you already have it here, negative ln when you integrate. Absolute value of y plus 8, because I pulled out the -1 before I integrated. Does everybody understand that? What do I have on the other side? X, keep going. Plus C, thank you. It's okay. What do I do now? Divide by -1. Negative X minus C. And again, remember that C doesn't really matter. What do we do now? E both sides. We get y plus 8 equals C to the -x. Remember, the negative on the C doesn't matter because we could use anything for C. We could use a positive C or a negative C, so we don't need to bring that negative down with it. Okay, so just make it regular C. What do I do now? So y equals CE to the -x minus 8, and we get B. Right, same thing on the next one. Again, I don't like to look at it as y prime. So we're going to do dy over dx equals -2x over y. Basically, all you need to do is cross multiply. And then you're going to integrate. Remember, you can pull out your -2 before you integrate your x dx. What's the integration of y? Y squared over 2. Then we have -2 times with the integration of x. And then plus c. What happens right there? So we have y squared over 2 equals -x squared plus c. I don't see that anywhere. What do they do? We don't have any ln, so we can go ahead and mark that out. And then you guys can look and see that it's just plain y squared, not over 2. So we're going to multiply by 2. We get y squared equals -2x squared plus c, which is D. Okay. On the function y equals f of t, passing through the point 0, 12 with the first derivative, dy over dt equals 6 over 7y. This is the same thing that we've been doing. They just wrote it a little bit different. Okay, so find the equation. But this time we don't have a plus c because they give us this to plug in. So all we're doing is finding the particular solution. So if you need to write that at the top, find the particular solution is exactly what it's asking you. to save myself some trouble, when we have this constant 6/7 y, leave that 6/7 alone, because we like to have that constant dt. Does everybody understand that? So we'll just move y instead. That way I don't have to do any u or anything crazy. Have you not told her? That's fine. All right, so like I said, leave that 6/7 here, move the y over. So we're gonna divide by that y. Leave the 6/7. Go ahead and integrate. What do we get? Come on, guys, done it 50 times. ln y equals. And then we have plus c, right? What do we do? What happens? Keep going, what happens? How many times have we done this equation? I mean, yeah, that's on your test. All right, so this would be the general solution, but they give us answers, or they give us that point so that we plug into x and y or t and y. What is your y value? And then your t is 0. What happens up there? So you're just left with what? 12e to the 6/7 t. Which one? Everybody good? Okay. Write and solve the differential equation that models the following verbal statement. Evaluate the solution specified value of the independent variable rounding errors to 4 decimal places. The rate of change of p is proportional to p. When t equals 0, p equals 60, blah, blah, blah. You know you're going to be plugging in a bunch. So what do I do? What is it? What? What is it? Okay, so start with rate of change. What does rate of change mean for the 40th time? Derivative. How do I represent the derivative? In this case, dp over dt. Is proportional means equals what? Okay, proportional to? What do I do? Mm-hmm. 1 over p dp k dt. Please recognize this. You've done this how many times? Did we not just do it up here? We had a constant, right? Everybody remember that? That's your k dt. It's y'all, it's the same. It's the same. So if you already know the equation, just we're going to go ahead and go through it. Integrate, we get p equals kt plus c, and then we p both sides. So we get p equals, very good. Now we got to plug in a million things. T is 0, p is 60. 60 equals ce to the k times 0, which means that c is 60. Go to the next one. So this was the first part. Go to the second one. P is 84. we found out that C was 60. E to the K times T is 5. How do I solve? I did not even mark him. So I did count right the first time. Hey, how are you? Doing great. Would you like a review?
Yeah.
Gonna get one of you. Having a bad day?
What? No, I
Okay,
just,
good. All right, so I'm gonna do this on my calculator, so I don't have to do any work. 84 divided by 60 gives me 1.4 equals e to the 5k. How do I solve? ln both sides. And then I'll do what? So ln 1.4 divided by 5 equals k, which means that k is ln 1.4 divided by 5, 0.06729. If you had to put 0.0673, that's fine. Like I said, 4 decimal places will be fine. And then the last thing says that what is the value of P when T is 11? So we plug it in. Y equals C was 60. E to the K is 0.06729. Our new T is 11. When you put that in your calculator, 60 E, nope. 0.06729 times 11 gives you 125.78. Which one is it? That's it. A lot of the questions from here on out are just like this. Notice that number 10 and number 11 are exactly the same beginning, except for instead of P, we use what? So what's our equation going to be? Instead of P equals, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. If you do it once, please don't do it 40 times. Please don't keep integrating 40 times. So then our first thing says T is 0 when N is 200. What does that mean? You already know. Yeah, so you don't even have to do that much of the equation. You don't have to show this. That is fine. But I'm going to show it for you. But again, on your test, that first one always tells you what your C is, if it's this formula. Okay. So then we're going to do it again. It says N is 360 equals 200. E to the K times 1. How do I solve? We get 1.8 equals E to the K. How do I solve? We get K equals 0.5878. Like I said, 4 decimal places should give you enough. And then the last one says, what's the value when T equals 4? So we're going to do it again. We don't know the end value. We started with 200. E, K is 0.5878 times 4. So 200 E to the 0.5878 times 4. 2099.63. Close enough. What is it? B. This is the difference. Sorry, they say 3 decimal places. So if they specify, then go ahead and do that. So that way your answer looks exactly like theirs. So I went too far. All right, next one. Half-life of the radium isotope Ra226 is approximately 1599 years. The initial quantity of the isotope is 38. What is the amount left after 1,000 years? Round your answer. What is my formula for half-life? What is my just general formula? Y equals just general. C to KT, same thing. Same thing. It told us how much we started with, right? How much should we start with? And then it tells us our half-life, which is 1599. So that's our T. We don't know our rate. If it's a half-life, how much am I gonna have left? What is that? No. I had 38, it's 19. What's gonna happen in the end anyway? It's gonna end up being 0.5. So if you don't want to start with this line and you just want to go straight to the 0.5 equals E to the 1599K, that is perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. But again, you'll need that C later on, so that's why they give it to you. How do we solve? ln 0.5 equals 1599K. And then what do we do? And it says round to 2 decimal places. Thing is, this is negative 4.33. And then it has E negative 4. What does that mean? It's actually put 3 zeros in front. So that's exactly what it looks like. Put 3 zeros in front. It's always one less zero. Right. We're going to use our equation again. It says, what's the amount after 1,000 years? We're looking for the end, so we're looking for Y. What was our initial amount? Our K was negative 0.0043. And then our time is going to be 1,000 years. When you guys do this, ln 0.5 divided by, let's not use this for 2 million. You guys see how you get that crazy decimal right there? When you go back to put this in, 38E, this one is what I'm talking about. Go ahead and just type that in like that. So that way you don't have to type it in or worry about rounding. And then hit your enter and you get what? That's how I did it instead of typing everything in, which gives you. Okay. Any questions? Just makes it a little bit easier so you don't screw up the decimals or you don't just put in, please don't put in negative 4.33. Watch for that E on those, especially on your half-lives. Okay, so anytime it asks for half-lives, a lot of times they'll be like that because it's so many years. So watch that, please. Here's another half-life formula. So it says it has a half-life of 5715 years. So we can go ahead and just start. Just like this. And I put the one that you don't have to. Okay, so half-life is that much. Are you good with solving this? So if I just write down K, you're okay? All right, so in this case, once I solve it at ln 0.5 divided by 5715, I get negative 0.0001213. And again, if you have large years for half-life, you're going to have really tiny Ks, really tiny Ks. All right. So then it says, after 2,000 years, the sample of the isotope is reduced to 1.2 grams. What was the initial size of the sample? So we'll start with that. So what was it in the end? 1.2. We want the initial, so we're looking for C. E, we already found that K was negative 0.01213. And how long did it take it to reduce to 1.2? And how would I solve this? Divide by E, blah, 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 blah. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that C equals 1.529. If you guys look, there's only one of those, so go ahead and mark your answer. But how would I get, what if there were two of them the same? The next question says, how much will remain after 20,000 years? Oh, be careful because it says, i.e. after another 18,000 years. So just be careful. Okay, so you should be fine with this one. And then go to the next question after that. But I think your test is the same. I'll look before you, remind me, I'll look before I walk out. I'll look at your test here in third period today. And if there's anything that I feel like I didn't go over, I'll make sure that I go over it before your test. Okay. All right. The half-life of the radium isotope is approximately, we already did a question like this. What percent of a given amount remains after 800 years? Round your answer to 2 decimal places. So what do we do? How do we start this equation? If it says half-life is 1599 years. Mm, 1599. We already did this one, right? So we already knew what K was on this one, but when I solve it out, I'm going to tell you that was the one that I did for you a second ago that we talked about the decimal places and the e to the -4. It says what percent of a given amount remains. If it asks for remains, we're looking for Y. And it says after 800 years. So what do we do? Since it asked for percent, this C right here is going to be 100%, or as a decimal, it's going to be 1. Everybody understand that? So 100% or 1. E, we have our K. And we have our T after 800 years. When we plug this in, we get 0.70695, which is approximately 70.70%. Okay, again, why did we plug in 1? Because it's 100% of whatever was there. Yeah, because if we do a half-life, what's left? Half, which is 50% or 0.5. So it's exactly the same. Okay. The initial investment in a savings account in which interest is compounded continuously, just so y'all know, this is the same equation. There's nothing any different. Compounded continuously is still the same formula. Is 604. If the time required to double the amount is 9.5 years, what is the amount after 15 years? Round your answer to the nearest cent. So how much should we start with? 604. It wants to know what? But what else? No, that's just, it wants to double. So what am I talking about right here? How much do I want in the end? How much? Yeah, 1208. So it says it wants it to double in the end. Remember, the Y is what you want in the end. E, we don't know our K, but we do know our time is what? 9.5 or 9.5. Y'all good with solving this? Okay, so we get K equals 0.07296. And then it wants the amount after 15 years. So what was our initial? 604. E, our K is 0.07296. And we want it after 15 years. We plug this in our calculator. We get 1804.46. Which is good.
Where all of these are the exact same equations.
And the only way it'll be different, because I think we get towards the end and it tells you something a little bit different. Same formula. Nope, that's the same. Those are the same as the beginning. If it's different, they write it out for you. And I will check that on your test too. Like I said, I will.
I'm not.
No, you'll be fine. I'll explain it to you on the one in a minute. So, find the time and years necessary for 1,000 to double if invested at a rate of 6% compounded continuously. So Y equals CE to the KT again, compounded continuously. If the amount, did y'all see that? That's weird. If the amount is gonna double, it's just like a half-life. If we're gonna take half, it ends up being 0.5, right? If it's gonna double, it's gonna be what? 2 to the 1 initial amount. What's our rate? How do I write 6%? Perfect. To the T. And then we just gotta solve it. How do we solve it? ln and then divide by 0.06, right? So we would do ln 2 equals 0.06 T, divide by 0.06, and we get 11.55. Any questions? Yes. Here?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 1 doesn't matter, right? How do I get rid of the ln both sides?
Why didn't we put in 1,000 for the C? I thought it was 1,000.
Can you? If I put in 1,000 here, what do I have to put in for all I? 2,000, but what's gonna happen once I divide it? It's gonna be 2.
Oh.
So you can do whichever one you want to.
I didn't know how we kept changing the numbers. I was wondering.
Oh,
why-
Anytime it says double, 2 and 1. Anytime it says triple, 3 and 1. And he says that half-life, half and 1. Everybody understand? Same formula, same thing.
So, but we, like, if it gives you the numbers, that's like 2,000 and 1,000.
Yeah, you can do 2,000 and 1,000. Yeah, so I could have done, it doubles. When I started at 1,000, I don't care about my KT. When I divide by 1,000, what do I get? So why write it and do that step? when I could-
really.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Always ask, always ask.
Okay, so.
If it's easier for you to write it out and divide it, then do that. Then do that. Absolutely. All right, look at this one. Suppose that the population in millions of Paraguay in 2007 was 6.7 and the expected continuous annual rate of change of the population is 0.024. Find the exponential growth model. It gives you the formula, the same formula we've been using. For the population by letting T equal 0 correspond to 2000, round your answer to 4 decimal places. So in 2007, it was what? 6.7. So that's, I mean, you guys look, you'll see it in a minute. Equals CE. What's your K? 0.024. And then what's your T? 0 corresponds to 2000, so we're at 2007. I'm gonna divide. Mhm. Gives me what? 5.66. Which one's your answer? That's it. That's all you gotta do. All right. 18 looks crazy. It's not as bad. This is like the 1 in 6.3 that you guys were questioning me about that had the 1/3 in front. It's kind of the same way. All right, so find the general solution of the differential equation. What do I need to do? So 8y squared dy equals 5x squared dx. Integrate. What do we get? So that'll give you 8 Mhm. Equals 5. Plus 6. Don't like having fractions, so I'm gonna multiply both of them by 3, which just cancels it out. So the good thing is both of them were divided by 3. Now I need to solve for y. How do I do that? Divide by 8. And then, so I get y equals the cube root 5 over 8x cubed, and then I have the plus c. And which one is it? That's it. So it looked crazy, but it was really not bad at all. And then this one is the worst one by far. Let's go ahead and do number 20. And then, like I said, if we don't get to this one, we'll do it right before the test. All right, so if you had this one and they made you write it, it would say that the rate of change is proportional to the difference in the weights. So they don't just say it's proportional to the weight. It'll say the difference in the weights. So you would have to put your difference formula in there, but this one gives it to you. And like I said, I'll look at your test in the third period today and see if there's anything that like throws red flags, like I haven't taught you yet, or I can also admit that, you know what I'm saying. Don't stress about it. I got you. All right, so what do I do? What do I do to this equation? Say it again. So we're gonna have dw over 1200 minus w equals k dt. This one is the one you have to watch out for because it makes a negative w down here. So that means it's gonna make a negative ln of 1200 minus w. Why does it do that? Because we have to use u, and then du would be negative 1, sorry, dw. So we have to pull out the negative 1. So again, if it's like this, it'll just be a negative. Equals what? Kt plus c. Notice it's still the same formula, guys. Still the same formula. Divide by the negative 1, you get ln absolute value of 1200 minus w equals negative kt minus c. How do I solve? So I get 1200 minus w equals what do I do now? Subtract 1200. And they write it the opposite way, just so you can see it. Okay, so 1200, because this is going to change, this will change to a negative, this will change to a positive. And so they just flip it around. So this will change positive, negative, positive, and they flip it around. So that's why I flip it. I don't care if you don't. All right. Now it says use a computer algebraic system. You don't have to do that. Solve for k equals 0.9. So what did we know to begin with? Starts with 70. So our weight is 70. At 0. So that cancels out your e. Solve this. You're going to subtract 1200. You get negative 1130 equals negative c. So positive 1130 equals c. And then it's just write your equation. So your equation was w equals 1200 minus c, which was 1130. E, it asked for our k to be 0.92. So C is our answer, our equation. Any questions? All right, so I will go over. Yeah, and there's not one like this 6, so I'll probably pull one that looks like your test instead, like from your book or something, so that you guys can see that. And I'll give it to you and let you write it down. You have plenty of room on this packet to like write it down. All right. So you'll start your test tomorrow. You may not finish it. We'll carry it over into Thursday. No stress. Is everybody good? All right.
Do you have a blank copy of this I can take a picture of?